Welcome to Discover Indie Film. I'm your host, Jeff Howard, and I've got filmmaker Jake Whiston with me. Hey, Jake.
Hello.
All right, so Jake and I just discussed his work at length in the podcast previous to this one. And now this one's all fun because this one is going to be Jake answering the 4 questions, which are favorite films of all time, an underrated film, an overrated film, and a lesser known film that people should seek out. Before we jump into the answers, I'm supposed to mention Jake's film, Your Heart Is Mine, is in the Discover Indie Film TV series. So go to Amazon Prime Video, type in Discover Indie Film in the search bar, and go to season 5, episode 8 if you just want to jump to Jake's superb film, Your Heart Is Mine, that has another superb music video / art house film, The Sword That Waits, opens for it. I think it's like a 3-4 minute opener, and then Jake's 21-minute opus, but it makes for a beautiful episode for people who appreciate art. So if you're into art, go to Amazon Prime Video and watch that shit. All right. Thank you, everyone, for listening to that. And now I'm just going to jump right into it with Jake and say, what you want to name 3 favorite films or 1?
Oh, gosh. Okay, here we go. Haven't thought about it. 3 favorite films. I think one of the first ones that comes to me is The Master by Paul Thomas Anderson. That's a film that I can't seem to get out of my head since I've seen it. I love a lot of his work, but that one is something else. I don't know what it is, but
that is a good one, and that's one that I don't think gets the love it deserves.
I think so too. Yeah, I mean, people who love it really love it, and who kind of see why it's special. But I remember somebody kind of like describing it like it's a little bit like a fever dream in a way. And I was like, that's a great way to put it, because it doesn't quite have this like pinned down plot, and just the performances are just out of control between Joaquin Phoenix and what's his name?
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Philip Seymour Hoffman.
Yeah, in fact, that might be Philip Seymour Hoffman's best.
Oh my God. I remember like watching it for the first time, and some of those, especially with Philip Seymour Hoffman, like I remember wanting to laugh at his performance because it was so good. Do you know what I mean? Like it was like giving me this almost like physical reaction where I'm like, I can't believe what I'm watching right now. This is so incredible that I need to get it out of my body somehow. It's just, yeah, that one does it for me.
For sure. In fact, I remember a Paul Thomas Anderson interview, and of course, Paul Thomas Anderson is always a shock because he's like the most normal dude. He makes these films and you think he might be a dark brooding guy, but he's actually super normal. And I remember him saying something like, the interviewer said, do you want to talk about Philip Seymour Hoffman? He said, all I can say about him is he's the one actor I've met who will go, he will do anything. He will go anywhere. He will go you ask him to walk 5 miles and he goes 20. Like he's just unbelievable. Yeah. Cool film.
So there's that one.
All right. That's one. No pressure if you want to.
If I want to skip, if I want to go on to the next.
But if you got another fave.
Well, let me think. So,
or even a guilty pleasure favorite, like your favorite movie in high school, like something you watched over and over on VHS, or it might have been DVD by then.
That's a great question. I think, okay, remember that. I'm going to jump back to that, because I definitely probably have like 5 different of those. But maybe the other one, as cliche as it is, I think 2001: A Space Odyssey just is another one that I just can't get it out of my head, you know. And it wasn't very long ago that I saw it on, 70 millimeter here in Portland, which is near where I live. They've got a theater there called the Hollywood Theater, and they have a print of it there. And seeing it on this 50-foot screen in 70 millimeter, it was like a spiritual experience. Seriously, I didn't even. Like I had already seen the film like 100 times before that. And it was as if I was watching it afresh. And also it made me understand why it was made to be shown in the theater like this, you know. It was just out of control. So that one, I mean, I can't even, obviously enough words have been said about it. I kind of almost don't want to say anymore, because you can go out there and find all the millions and millions of words spoken about it, but it just does it for me, I guess.
For sure. It's a masterpiece. It's in my top 3 most of the time.
Yeah.
Sometimes Doctor Strangelove pushes it out because I'm like, I want to be more fun, and I can only have one. I'll only allow myself one of those two Kubricks. But
I forget it. Sometimes I forget about Doctor Strangelove, but goddamn, that movie is so good. And you know what? I think maybe that actually reminds me, speaking of Peter Sellers, that I'm going to choose for my third as being there. I am in love with that movie. I don't know why. I can't even fully express why, but I saw that for the first time sort of out of the blue and just was like, what is this? This is so incredible. And for anybody, who has seen it, the like ending shot is just my favorite thing in the world.
It is so out of control, wonderful. It's funny because my best friend was a huge Peter Sellers fan, and I became a massive Peter Sellers fan, like starting at age 14 or whatever. We watched everything we could. And then in college, the novella was assigned in a class I had to being their novella. And the film follows the novella very closely, but that last shot ain't in there.
No, it's not. Yeah, because I read the novella too. Yeah, and it's like, you're right. It's pretty close a lot of the time, but no, and it's like the movie, because of that last shot, just has this magic that the book can't get, especially at the end.
Yeah. I wonder what the author would have thought of that. But yeah, it was, and that's a Hal Ashby film. My God.
I know.
Just like
wonderful.
Just probably as beloved as he is, he probably can be called underrated anyway.
Yeah, I think so. No, I think you're 100% right about that. Hal Ashby. And that was, I wonder if that was the first time for me too, that I kind of locked into Hal Ashby's sensibility. And I was like, there's something here that clicks for me, whatever it is. This kind of weird offness. So yeah, that was a big one for me.
For sure. Yeah. And you don't have a problem with, it's funny because some people might call 2001 or Being There slow paced, but they're not, because there's actually something, you're looking at the film, there's cinematic throughout, I would argue that there's not slow paced, but.
No, yeah, you're totally right about that. Especially people can argue that for 2001, I think, but you're right that there's this kind of like, there's like a razor sharp focus in literally every frame, right? Like there's this kind of intensity that's happening. So yes, if you don't really like that kind of thing and you're a little ADD or something and you just need stuff to happen, okay, I understand that. And it's not going to jive with you, but no, if you're locked in, it's like everything is being touched and kind of taken care of. And there's not like, Kubrick isn't really dropping the ball like anywhere along the way. So of course you can argue whether you like his choices or not, but you can't really say that.
I mean, if the scenes of the space station slowly turning and a spaceship if it were quick, I would have to back it up and watch it 5 times in a row because it's that beautiful. I mean, you're actually watching ballet. He's playing the music of a ballet. It is what it is.
Yeah, it's incredible how many of the effects really hold up too. Like today, it's nuts.
Oh, I think we don't have to do a tangent about models and how they're better.
That's right.
Digital's gotten really great, but come on. All right. Well, question 2. Oh, wait. Do you want to jump back to the guilty pleasure from high school?
Oh, well, okay. Yeah.
You don't have to.
I think that could be fun because, early on for me, I was the films I loved, like when I was a kid, they were just like the blockbusters. You know what I mean? Like it would be nice if there's a part of me that wants to be like that guy that can be like, yes, back when I was 7 years old, I was sipping tea and watching, being there and 2001: A Space Odyssey. But no, I was watching the big blockbusters that were coming out. I loved the Arnold Schwarzenegger films and all the whatever. But like, I think my biggest one is probably Jurassic Park. I literally watched Jurassic Park like every day of my life when I was in elementary school. And hell, there's that. Probably James Cameron's like Aliens. And then again, some of the Schwarzenegger movies like Terminator 2 and Predator. And Predator 2 got in there too. He's not in that one.
That was always good stuff.
So I have really fond memories of those films and watching them on VHS because my dad would actually record some of them off of TV. So then it's like recorded VHS and edited with commercials. So all the gruesome parts are like cut. They like do these weird jump cuts before something crazy happens. And
they're funny dubs. Probably
exactly.
They'd have a curse word, and it wouldn't even sound like Arnold saying "shoot."
I know. Yeah, it was incredible. So a lot of that.
That's true. I mean, I hate nostalgia, but I guess my 14-year-old stepdaughter, she will never know what it's like to watch a film on broadcast TV edited for length and commercials and cropped wrong. I actually think the first time I saw 2001 was probably a pan and scan crop on Channel 5 in LA because like I'd heard about this movie and and there wasn't VHS yet or whatever. It wasn't easy to see films if it weren't, they kept coming back to the theater. Yeah. So I think the first time I saw it was on TV. So can you imagine how cropped it was? My God.
I know. Yeah. It took me a long time to really understand how blasphemous TV was to these, films. I totally, I didn't even know. So, it's so interesting. And that's in my mind, that's making me go off and thinking about how they edited stuff and me being young and being very in tune with how TV edited profanity and nudity and stuff like that. Like I was always, even without really knowing it, subconsciously, like I understood like, oh, that's right. This is the stuff you're not supposed to say. And they kind of get around that. And then I remember being so shocked whenever they would show stuff randomly that wasn't like edited in the same way. I don't know if you know this or remember this, but back after Saving Private Ryan came out, they would start showing it on ABC and they would show it completely unedited. They would run the whole film during like kind of primetime hours. And because it was such a, like American patriotic movie, that's the reason why it got away with doing that. But I remember just being like shocked. It's like such an intensely violent movie. All the curse words were there.
Wow. I don't recall when they did that.
Yeah.
But that's an amazing, interesting, like, oh, so the rule against violence and cursing is actually kind of self-imposed and it's not written in stone.
Yeah. And when it serves a patriotic purpose or a nationalistic purpose, then you can kind of bend the rules all you want. Very interesting.
Stripes was a better film and they edited the shit out of that. So
yeah, there you go.
I remember the Stripes. Oh my God. All the gratuitous front nudity and Stripes being edited on TV. That was just all right. Well, the next question we're supposed to jump into is underrated. Something that's underrated.
Oh gosh. Underrated. This one is going to stump me. I don't know. I feel like I'm going to pick something that's like not actually underrated. But for some reason, one of the first things that comes to my mind is the movie Foxcatcher.
Really?
Yeah. Now it got a lot of attention, like it got a lot of critical praise, but I like looking back on it and kind of reviewing it again, I've seen that for me, it didn't get as much as I thought that it would. I think I actually came across a lot more harsh reviews of it than that I was kind of surprised by. But that one, I really, really love that film. Actually, that's coming back to slowness. I'm remembering now that's most of the criticisms that I got. It was like, oh, it's too slow. It should have been paced differently. And I didn't understand that at all. I thought it was paced perfectly. And I loved that it breathed as much as it did. And anyways, so that's, I don't know. Maybe, again, I'm probably wrong about that. I'm probably giving it too much credit.
So there are no wrong answers. And I gotta confess, I think I had a screener of it at some point, but a certain level of the bad reviews of it kept me from ever watching it. So
that's interesting.
So calling it underrated totally fits because it was the criticism of it Like our viewing time is so precious now in this world of a billion hours of everything, and everything being just too much content, as we call it now.
Yeah.
That I never gave Foxcatcher my 2 hours. So, all right, noted. All right. Well, now the very fun next question is a film that is overrated.
Okay, now I get to talk shit. Oh my gosh, I feel like my brain is like filling up with, I don't have a big enough mouth to let out how many of these that I feel are overrated. This is something, I mean, if you were to like talk with my wife, she's actually pretty similar in this way too, but like, just how much I go off about a lot of modern films right now that seem to be getting a ton of praise. I don't get it. And so there's a lot of stuff right now that I feel is really overrated. And I don't know what's going on. There's obviously something wrong with me, but like, you know what I'll say? I'll do it. I'll say it right now. One of the more recent ones was Everything Everywhere All at Once. For me, is overrated. I knew I wasn't going to like it. And I went and saw it anyways, because somebody was like, oh, if you do it, there's this guy at this coffee shop that I go to every morning, and he's like a big cinephile. And he was going to go out of town, and he's like, if you do anything while I'm out of town, go see Everything Everywhere All at Once. I'm like, I don't know, man. I don't think it's going to be for me. But I did it because I'm like, okay, you're praising it. You're saying it's so great. It's one of the most original things you've seen in a long time. And I saw it and hated it. And, there it is. Now, I don't apologize if I offended anybody, because, that's right.
Because people have a right to different opinions. It doesn't make you bad or them bad. I haven't seen it yet. Actually, it has had praise heaped on it, and I certainly plan to watch it someday. The plague has kept me out of the theaters mostly for Hollywood. I still go to the festivals, obviously, but so I haven't caught it yet. But yeah, I've heard nothing but good things. So that's very interesting.
I know. That's all I was hearing. And I was like, I felt like I was literally the only person in the theater that wasn't connecting with it. I mean, there's a lot about like what the actual story is about this like family that was really great, but it's kind of all everything else that's on the surface of it. I wasn't having it. And as a more general statement, I will say that this has been happening more lately than early on, but I have to say that I'm starting to find that a lot of A24 films for me are really overrated right now, because I mean, A24 has been hitting it out of the park basically since they started really getting out there and came out with a bunch of these incredible films. And I don't know what it is. I don't think I can pin it down. And again, maybe I'm just out of my fucking mind, but I feel like a lot of the stuff that's been coming out is just been getting heaped with praise. And I'm like, what? I don't know. I don't get it.
Yeah. I can't name their stuff, but I think, I don't know. Did they do Call Me by Your Name? I love that film. But they might not have.
I'm trying to remember if they did do Call Me by Your Name.
I'd have to check.
They seem like the type of production company that would have. I can't remember if they did for sure. I really liked Call Me by Your Name too. So that's one. Yeah. And some of the early A24 films I really like a lot. I mean, they did like The Witch by David Eggers, or Dave Eggers, I mean, and everybody loves that. Well, they did The Lighthouse too. I really loved The Lighthouse. And there's a film called The End of the Tour that is about the writer David Foster Wallace.
Wow, this is very dangerous.
Oh, really?
Because I've read Infinite Jest 3 times.
Oh, have you?
So,
I've read it twice.
So and I'm contemplating reading it for the 4th. So if warning to everyone, you should just read Infinite Jest by David Foster Wallace and then talk to people like Jake or myself, because it is actually the best thing ever written by a human in this simulation. So just enjoy it and get back to us. But
have you seen that film?
I haven't seen that film. That's the one where Jason Segel plays David
Foster Wallace. Yeah, being a fan, I think you would actually really like it a lot. I went into that movie skeptical. I think a lot of people did, because Jason Segel playing him, he does an incredible job. I was so surprised by it. He did so good. It was like the first minute that he shows up on screen, like after, you're kind of going like, okay, crossing your arms, like, how is this performance going to go? And then you actually forget that you're thinking that because he's like just in it. It's great.
Honestly, I've seen little clips and I was impressed. And I've seen other work by him and I thought, okay, he actually did that, a show called Dispatches from Elsewhere. I think it's on Hulu. And, I think it's one of those 8-episode deals, 8 and out. And it's one of the best things I've ever seen for 7 episodes. And my God, just don't watch episode 8 and it's fine. Episode 8 just ruins the rest of it. But anyway, all right. So there, fine. It's the last tour,
the end of the tour.
The end of the tour.
Because it's about the like final, stretch of the tour that he was going on for Infinite Jest back in the 90s.
And it is an actual conversation, right? Like they had the transcript of the reporter who spoke to him.
That's
right.
So
it really is David Foster Wallace's words.
Yep. The guy, David Lipsky, the guy who followed him, who's also a writer. And it's a great story. It's actually not like this. What's fantastic about it is like, it's not just David Foster Wallace worship is not what it is at all. It's actually a complicated story about how, he's not always the greatest guy in it. And they have this really interesting dynamic between him and this other guy. And it's a little bit like competitive, but they're also trying to impress each other. And just this, it's great. It's a great little film. It's pretty simple too. Yeah.
Heck, I got to watch that.
I think you'll really enjoy it knowing that you have that background with his work. Yeah.
I tell you, when I was between marriages, I can't believe I'm sharing this on a podcast, but between marriages, I searched for David Foster Wallace on OkCupid and went on like 3 or 4 dates with women solely to like have someone to discuss the book with. And I realized, okay, so this is not something to pursue.
Yeah.
It never quite went well, but man, all right.
Amazing.
Gotta love when people mention David Foster Wallace.
Yeah, there you go.
And I heard HBO optioned Infinite Jest, but I guess it's never going to happen.
Oh yeah, I mean, I hope not. I think that would be a dumb idea. I mean, maybe somebody would do it okay, but I don't think you can.
No, probably. Although it's one of the most cinematic books ever written. I mean,
that is true. Yeah, how much of it is about film is a funny thing. Yeah.
All right. Well, that was your lesser known to seek out, right?
Actually, I don't think I think we were talking about underrated. I just happened to bring that up because I was railing on the recent A24 films. Right. And that happened to come up because it was an A24 film that I liked. So that could be one. I mean, I think that's a movie that didn't get like a huge amount of press. It got some attention and I think did get a lot of favorable reviews. So I'm sure people know about it, but that's a good one. Otherwise, like something really underrated. I'm trying to think about something that.
Well, the last question is, because no, you did overrated was Everything Everywhere All at Once. And then so the last question is a lesser known for people to seek out.
Yeah. So I'm trying to think about, I don't know. It's
but the end of the tour is a pretty good one because I mean, I don't think it got much love at all from. I don't think it got much attention on the broader. I think you have to be a David Foster Wallace nerd to really know it existed.
Yeah, I think people kind of locked into the literary scene, knew a bit about it, and wrote reviews and kind of gave it the praise that I do think that it does deserve. But you're probably right about that. So that's a big one for me. It was funny. What I did think of a second ago was it's actually I want to recommend a little short film that was in the Sherman Oaks Film Festival. And I think I actually brought this up maybe in one of our other interviews, but I remember being so impressed by this film called Tides that was made by I think a young woman named Rowan Gray.
Yeah, up in Canada.
Yes, up in Canada. And so when I got into the Sherman Oaks Film Festival and started to just go over the other official selections, yeah, I was really, really caught and struck by Tides by Rowan Gray. So I'm not really sure if it's available for people to find right now. If it is, that'd be great. But that's certainly one she might be doing some really cool stuff.
Yeah, you know what? She's one of those people who never responds to my email. Otherwise, Tides would certainly I certainly would have invited her on the podcast and asked her, hey, you want Tides to be? Yeah, 'cause Tides was a beautiful film.
Yeah, really, really good. I was just super impressed by the execution of it. So that's one that's actually just lingered in my memory quite a bit. I'm not sure I'll ever, make something quite like that, but it had an impression on me. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, when I loop around and start trying to find, obviously, like everyone in the world, I need like 2 personal assistants to help me write all the emails that I would like to write. But yeah, I definitely want to hit her up again and say, hey, I never heard back from you. What's up with Tides? I mean, it's been 2 years.
I know. Yeah. Yeah. I think I
made another incredible film since then.
Yeah. I don't know if she has. I maybe tried to like look up and see if something, I want to say I saw that she mentioned that she was trying to like make a film in 16 millimeter or something like that. I don't even know if it was, who knows, maybe she was talking with you, because I think she did have an interview during that, whatever that
was. She did do a
2020.
Q&A. Yeah, she did do a Zoom Q&A.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was actually one of the nice things about having a film festival during COVID, the heat of COVID, was that I think it was like 99% of people were like stuck at home. Were like, sure, I'll do a Zoom Q&A.
That's true.
You know, you're just recording the ones at the theater. I would say like, I bet 9 out of 10 people show up at the theater for their own film, but there's always people who can't make it or something comes up.
Yep.
All right, fair enough. All right, well, you made it through the 4 questions.
Okay.
All right. I know you're a fellow David Foster Wallace fan, which will leave me feeling warm at night. My in my policy of always oversharing, I try to get as many friends to read it as possible. And one of my best friends for my entire lifetime, he read it and then made all his former college roommates read it, and it was lovely. And he's the person I lost to COVID in the first month of COVID. Oh, no. So I lost the one person who understands Infinite Jest, the one person I can talk to about Infinite Jest. We lost him. So yeah, I'm like, man, I might have to bug his college roommate, just so I can say.
That's right.
There was something extremely exciting for me I'll share with you. I don't know if you're ever a Kids in the Hall fan.
Oh, no, I was. I mean, it's funny because I know a lot about Kids in the Hall by periphery, because it's such an influence on so many other comedians that I like. So I know a ton about it, but I actually haven't got caught up on it.
So for me, like the 2 things in life that I had a hard time not being an obsessive fanboy about was Infinite Jest and Kids in the Hall. Okay. And then when in the Amazon Prime reboot of Kids in the Hall, when they came back and I think they just did like 6 or 8 more episodes. Mm-hmm. There's actually a scene. Eddie Izzard does a cameo, so it's not one of the kids, but he does a cameo, and he's in the bathtub reading Infinite Jest, and I'm like, oh my god, okay. Infinite Jest has appeared on Kids in the Hall. 1997, Jeff Howard just lost his mind.
That's right. It all just came together for you.
It was like,
exploded.
Yeah, it's like, when your favorite, you find out your favorite band likes your favorite book, you're like, holy hell.
Yeah.
It either proves there is a God, or whoever wrote the simulation just didn't put in enough variables and there's too much overlap with things. I don't know.
That's right. You figured it out.
I've figured out the facade we're living in. All right. Well, we're just chatting, so I'll wrap it up. If you want to learn about Jake and his work, go to selfportraitfilms.com. Self-Portrait Films on Instagram. His rad new project is Self-Portrait Docs on Instagram. So check that stuff out if you're still listening. You should be listening because we're so interesting to listen to. And be a nice person. Go to Amazon Prime Video. Watch Discover Indie Film. There's 5 seasons. Season 6 is coming in probably in September. And give it 5 stars. write a nice review. Say how much you love independent films made by people who make them for themselves. And if you want to learn more about it, go to discoverindiefilm.com, and it's at DIF Wins on social media. And yeah, Jake's, I program 2 film festivals. Jake's film, Your Heart Is Mine, was in both. You can learn about Sherman Oaks Film Festival. That's every November if you go to ShermanOaksFF.com. And on social media, it's at ShermanOaksFF. And the June Festival is Film Invasion Los Angeles. And that's every June. And you can learn about it at FilmInvasionLA.com. And it's at Film Invasion LA on social media. And I've now named all the things on my list of things I'm supposed to name. And I'll thank Jake Whiston for doing this chat.
Thank you, Jeff. I appreciate it.
And I'll thank everyone who listened.